The Dharma, incomparably profound and minutely subtle, rarely encountered. Using the word Dharma in that way, it's almost as if it's a thing, a noun. And in the same way, we sometimes say Dharma practice, as if there's two things. Of course, as if there's another thing called practice. Practice is not a noun. Practice is not a verb. Dharma is not a noun. Dharma is not a verb. We are not nouns, despite sometimes fooling ourselves that we are nouns. And worse, or I say more pernicious, we believe other people, other beings are nouns. And despite their we, they being verbs, we're not verbs either. But we get fooled by these categories and words if we take them in a objective, subjective way, if we become trapped by them as opposed to using them freely. So, when Joko says practice is being life as it is, life as it is no subject, no object, no thing, no verb, and life is verb, being, and yet sometimes we can say life, practice, being as is. And then she adds the important, vital part, not life as we would like it to be, which is the entangling snare that we often make trouble for ourselves and others with, believing the thoughts as we like or don't like. Likes and dislikes are the poison of life. Likes and dislikes, the poison of the way that we walk, but the way that is no thing. And it is our very walking, our very manifesting, that step, this moment, that can cause us suffering, harming, troubles in all sorts of ways, or can manifest this truth and serve to liberate beings, ourselves so-called, and others from suffering, from harming. Much of what we use about the word practice is to assist and support us, but at the same time to allow us embody the Buddha who we always are. the bodhisattva that we manifest in the universe in our actions, and sometimes, unfortunately, miss in our reactions based on likes and dislikes and wanting and not wanting. Or as Joko says, the clash between what we want and what is. And of course, our belief that what we want justifies all sorts of things in the face of what is right here, right now. And not seeing what we're doing, we suffer, we cause suffering to others, we harm, we entangle, and miss the wonderful taste of the universe that is our life. The wonderful universe tasting this moment. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that support and enable us to be liberated from suffering, if I use such a word. Or, to say it differently, the transformation, which practice is, the transformation of our unnecessary suffering. Unnecessary suffering, and yet it sometimes seems to us that there's nothing but this suffering, and it's the result of the way things are, and it's definitely necessary. It's necessary because it happens, and because we feel, well, that's just the way it is. And our reaction to that is more harming and suffering. It is unnecessary suffering of things being just as they are. Suffering is extra. Suffering is what we add on to life as is, death as is. Life of the Buddha, death, life of the Buddha. Buddha is not a noun, but we like to use it that way. And especially if there's a form, especially if we use it to describe a form, then we have an idea of a person being a noun and a thing being a noun. Nouns, verbs, subject, object, wonderful way to describe things, but terribly crippled and troublesome when they control us, when they control our life, as opposed to being a tool to enable us to serve life, to serve those in need and what's appropriate and skillful for us, for others. Because if we don't see what it's about, then we don't realize that our whole life, or if we use it the other way, our whole practice is feeling, experiencing where we're bumping up. Use another word, where we're stuck, holding to what's not appropriate or necessary, where and how we block ourselves, hinder ourselves and others from being who and what this life of the universe that we are. This form of no form, if I use such a word. This form of no form. Then we could sing and dance without adding anything. Sing and dance the universe in sitting still, in getting up, in sitting down. If you believe the Buddha was a once upon a time person, fine, we could say that, but that's nonsense. It's true, and as words trouble us and trap us, it's where we get stuck because we've refused to be the practice of the experiencing, the holding, and the blocked, or I should say the blocking that keeps us from our true nature, the true nature of the universe. So, what to do? So Joko has a comment about that. And Shigen, turning away from our habit of constantly seeking comfort and attempting to avoid pain or avoid discomfort. Do we do that? Do we do that in the face of the reality of what is right now? How we taste our life and the life of all those we encounter. Sometimes we're a verb, sometimes we're a noun, sometimes we're a goal, sometimes we're a process, sometimes we're a description, sometimes we're a prescription, and we're never any of those, and those are just maybe useful verb, useful words in our life. So it's like tools we could pick up and put down. But if it's tools that pick us up and control how and what this moment is, then we never see. Then, like a son of a rich man that Hakuin talks about, who goes off among the beggars and vagrants, someone in the midst of water, crying out in thirst. There's the Dharma talk. What hinders the joyousness that is our life? When you notice being unhappy, being angry, being hindered, and various other conditions, when you notice an unwillingness to be as you are, as this is, not how you think about it, but as this is, what you are noticing is the refusal to be the Buddha you are, as this is. Refusal to be joyous in the midst of this, I don't want, I don't like, it shouldn't, it shouldn't. What we want as opposed to what is. Seeing what is, then our ideas about what is don't hinder us. Then we don't get troubled by arguing yes or no, mine, theirs. We don't get troubled by those. But when I have some plants, I dig in the ground and put them in. When I have no plants, I sit upright and listen to the birds. All our ways of using the word practice are there to enable us, to assist us, to not be blinded and hindered by our belief systems, not hold on to our stories, so that despite their arising and passing, they don't run us. Or, to do it a different way, to notice, appreciate, and do what's called for when we discover beliefs, habits, tendencies, actions and reactions which are running us and turning us into a self-centered way of being rather than a life-centered, universe-centered, beyond this and that, centered in being just this moment. Thank you.